So for those who don't know, we wrote our first book and it finally comes out next week on January 15th. When I say we, I mean a good friend of mine who runs a YouTube channel, Legends of History, who is a very talented writer, and myself. Now the purpose of this video is to go over the book in some more detail. So those who are new to the channel and those who may be on the fence wanting some more information before they purchase the book now have that information. To start, the book is called Greek Mythology Explained, which has definitely caused some confusion, as some people took that to mean that the book would be a deep analytical dive into Greek mythology itself, which isn't really what we were going for. The title more so relates to the channel name. There are still explanations of each story historically and contextually, with an insight into what we were thinking as writers, but the main focus of the book is the retelling of 6 stories that we've chosen, almost like an anthology. These stories are Odysseus and his encounter with Scylla, the story of Lamia and how she became a monster, the rise and fall of Bellerophon, the events leading to Medusa's transformation, the fall of Icarus, and the tragic love story of Artemis and Orion. Each one of these stories is illustrated and then accompanied by a brief explanation portion. So why exactly did we choose to structure the book in this way? For me personally, one thing that I've always felt has been missing from these old texts and books is immersion. The works of Homer, Hesiod, Ovid, and many other poets of the time often feel like a summary of a story when compared to the standards of writing that we expect today. At times it can be quite hard to relate to their characters, especially those we would consider outside of the major figures, because they lack personality, and that's because the level of detail just isn't there. What we've tried to do is stay true to these stories, but also fill in the huge gaps and give these characters personalities, motives, aspirations, fears, and an overall reason for the audience to relate to them. We've turned these brief summaries and timelines into full-length coherent stories. I think one of the main reasons that more people don't enjoy mythology is the fact that many of these current texts only appeal to those who already have an interest in mythology. Now don't get me wrong, these texts and books are a great source of information and historical context, but if it's not something you're interested in, then the likes of Homer's Iliad and Hesiod's Theogony are never really going to capture your imagination and immerse you into a story. It's much easier to take an interest in a character when you are immersed into a story as opposed to just reading a list of things that they may or may not have done. Whether you like or dislike Percy Jackson and Rick Riordan's books, they have a clear goal, and they certainly achieve that goal. They act as a gateway into mythology for a younger audience, and I know many people who now love mythology because of those books, and that is what we've set out to do with this book. We wanted to create this gateway into mythology for a slightly older audience, but also wanted to create a book that appealed to the already existing mythology fans, presenting these stories that they most likely would have heard of before but in a new and exciting way, shining new light on characters they may have read about in passing but don't really know. You have characters like Medusa, Bellerophon and Lamia, where they have these very interesting stories, but even in their own myths and legends they seldom feel like the main character, which is why we've told these stories from their perspective. Because for the most part the story does remain true to the source material, but the way you feel about the story and the characters certainly changes, especially since so many of these stories feel like a book in themselves once you really delve into them. Now as for the overall tone of the book, it's definitely not one that's for children. If at one end of the spectrum you have Percy Jackson and at the other you have Game of Thrones, shall we say, we certainly lean more towards Game of Thrones, and that's because these stories are an unfiltered retelling of Greek mythology. There's murder, betrayal, revenge, adventure, jealousy, love and sex, and pretty much everything that you would expect from Greek mythology. Each story is also illustrated by a different artist, which I feel does help set a different tone but still ties the book nicely together. Most of the art that you've seen over the course of this video will be in the book. To summarize, I feel the book is an interesting and unique read for all audiences, whether you love mythology or whether it's new to you. We are definitely looking forward to seeing how you as an audience react to the book and how you feel about our interpretations and the overall structure. There will be a few live streams in February where we discuss the book almost like an online book club, where everyone can come in and share their thoughts and ideas and we can get your feedback. To answer the last question that I see asked quite often, will there be more books like this and will they be about other mythologies? To be honest, right now we don't really know. We do have 2 more books with our publisher, but we haven't really decided what they'll be yet, so I guess it depends on the success of the first book. We are, however, working on our own separate projects, such as the Dark World series, which most likely will be published as a book and audiobook once it's finished. So if you haven't already checked that out, then the first episode, Krampus Night, is up on the channel, and it was definitely a fun one to record. We are also working on our teen/young adult mythology based series, which is probably what we're most excited about right now, and hopefully book 1 will be ready for the summer, but we'll definitely keep you posted on that one. On a quick side note, I'd like to thank everyone for a great year last year. It's because of you that we have the opportunity to write these books and work on these projects, and we never wanted to create something that we wouldn't read ourselves, and I honestly believe that you will love Greek Mythology Explained and the future projects that we have coming. For those who haven't ordered the book yet, you can get the Kindle and the hardcover versions on Amazon and most major book retailers. There'll be a link in the description for those in the United States, and those outside can simply order it from their country's Amazon page. As always, I've been your host, Mythology and Fiction Explained. But before we do part ways, I'll leave you with a trailer for the book, for those who haven't watched it yet or for those who would like to watch it again.